Coming up tonight, a wealth of confusion. A noted family law attorney is calling for clear guidelines in order to move the conversation forward on defining marital rape. Plus, the unofficial results of the Grand Bahama Pine Yard Rush Junkanoo Parade announced. We'll tell you who's celebrating and who's crying. They rob us. And later, we're taking a ride back to the 90s. Our Danielle Miller has the highlights from an exciting old school party that featured an international recording icon. The details on these stories and so much more as Our News Weekend starts now. This is Our News Weekend. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Shepard. It's a topic that has gripped headlines and the attention of Bahamians for some time now. To deal with marital rape, clear guidelines must first be established. That's the stance of family law attorney Lilith Smith-Mackey, who says religious barriers have created a wealth of confusion on the matter. Berthany McDermott has her candid comments in this report.
If we are going to deal with marital rape, you need to have a guideline where a person can say, if this has happened in my marriage, this ought to be the grounds for me to go to the police and claim that I have been raped during my marriage.
Attorney Lilith Smith-Mackey is adding to the controversial conversation of marital rape, saying proper lines must be defined to first address the issue. She gave this example of what could be seen as gray area in the discussion.
You will have instances where you are married, you're going into a divorce, but there may be a brief moment of reconciliation. And in that brief moment of reconciliation, you may have a party who may want to have intercourse with their spouse. And then that leaves room for confusion.
Former Chief Justice Sir Michael Barnett said the Bahamas has fallen behind on marital rape laws, adding he doesn't understand the objection to criminalizing it. In April 2024, Prime Minister Philip Davis said he is guided by the party's blueprint for change, and a commitment to criminalize marital rape was not in it. In 2022, the Davis administration drafted a bill that could criminalize marital rape and released it for consultation.
It's a fine line between have I been raped during my marriage or did I agree to have this sex with my husband who I continue to sleep in the same bed with and I continue to reside with. So before we get into the emotions of it, and there are instances where wives have been raped in a marriage. I'm not suggesting that it doesn't happen, but in order for us to fairly deal with the topic appropriately and legally, you must define the lines of marital rape.
The strongest opposition to this, though, comes from the church, which in most instances insists a married man can't rape his wife. Smith-Mackey adds there are religious barriers that impact the conversation.
More importantly, there are religious barriers that create a wealth of confusion as it relates to marital rape. Socially and culturally, we do have a mixed society here in the Bahamas, and certain cultures believe that when it comes to intercourse in a marriage, it is a must. So again, it must be defined. You must be able to define when it is a must and when it is a no.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks so much, Berthany. While the country now has 2 deputy commissioners, a decision some are questioning. But for the Minister of National Security, he says the criticism, particularly by the opposition, stems from hypocrisy and bad politics. Our Joshua Williams spoke with the minister on the sidelines of the opening of the legal year as he shared these sentiments.
National Security Minister Wayne Munro says he doesn't understand the criticism after the decision was made to have 2 deputy commissioners of police. After Shanton Knowles was sworn in as commissioner, Assistant Commissioner of Police Kirkwood Andrews, along with Assistant Commissioner Anthony Roll, were both sworn in as deputies at a ceremony last Saturday at Government House. After the swearing in, Opposition Leader Michael Pintard opposed the appointment of ACP Roll, but Munro says the same thing happened under the former Free National Movement-led administration.
My predecessor was a 2nd Deputy Commissioner of Police, Minister Marvin Dames was Deputy Commissioner of Police at the same time as Deputy Commissioner Alison Greenslade. So when people spout things that are based on false premises and lies, you have to judge everything else by that. We've had more than 1 Deputy Commissioner of Police on more than 1 occasion.
Now in a statement, Prime Minister Philip Davis hit back at Pintard's comments, calling them unfounded and helpful. Munro agrees, saying now is not the time to play politics.
The Police Service Act gives her that privilege. Not a politician like me, not a politician like the Prime Minister, not a politician like Michael Pintard. What he demonstrates is that they have not learned the lesson that got Marvin Dames condemned by the court, which is that policing is not supposed to be politicized.
On Thursday, it was also announced that several top cops received promotions. Shivago Dames, Roberto Goodman, and Dwight Adderley to Senior Assistant Commissioner, and Marino Hines, Anton Raming, and Alvaro Dames. As for now, the top cop position in the Northern Division remains vacant. Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
Meantime, Grand Bahama received a distinguished visitor this week, Governor General Dame Cynthia Pratt. During her annual visit to the island, she toured the Rand Memorial Hospital, stopped by a local primary school, shared a lunch with seniors, and visited the Grand Bahama Children's Home. Our Italia Hall has the recap.
It was a busy itinerary for Governor General Dame Cynthia Pratt, who made multiple stops across Grand Bahama during her annual trip. Following her visit to the Rand Memorial Hospital, Dame Pratt headed to West Grand Bahama to meet students at the West End Primary School, an historic moment as it's the first time a Governor General has ever visited the school. She was greeted with warm smiles and special performances by the students and faculty. During her address, Dame Pratt reminded the children they can achieve any dream, reflecting on her own upbringing, where she had just one uniform and often went without lunch.
I was at a time when you became 14 years old. You had to leave school because mommy couldn't pay for private schools, even though I had the brain, I had the grades. But who going to see me, a little poor girl, among sleeping with the rats and the roaches? Who would see me?
The children in tears as they listened to the impactful speech. The Governor General encouraged the students to stay focused in school.
No matter what they say, no matter what they call you, they call me a lot of names. But God gave me a gift where I was an athlete. I played them all. So I was able to go to college because I had a brain and I had a skill.
Next, Dame Pratt had lunch with senior citizens in West End, where Member of Parliament for the area Kingsley Smith reminded them of their vital role in the community. The Governor General encouraged the Precious Pearls to reflect on how far the Bahamas has come as a nation.
Bahamians always had pride. We wouldn't put ourselves to a level where you have to speak down to us, not Bahamians. I'm saying, if it's going to be better in the Bahamas, we got to build from the ground, which is the foundation.
Wrapping up her Grand Bahama tour in Freeport, Dame Pratt then stopped by the Grand Bahama Children's Home. There, Executive Director June Hutchison briefed her on the children's well-being and the challenges the home faces. From the hospital in Freeport to the classrooms and senior halls of West End, Governor General Dame Cynthia Pratt's visit emphasized the spirit of love and community, reminding all Bahamians that every corner of the country deserves attention and care. Reporting for Our News, I'm Italia Hall.
Thanks so much, Italia. Well, starting next month, patients at the Adelaide and Gambier public health clinics will get a taste of the future with the first phase in the pilot program of Information Systems for Health, also known as IS4 Bahamas. It's all part of a long-term goal to bring Bahamian healthcare to the future, not only locally but internationally, beyond that pilot program. Acting Director of Public Health, Dr. Philip Swan, explains how these things could bring us forward internationally.
We just had a meeting today with the Department of Information Communication Technology about a DigiPay system, the government's financing system. And we're hoping to introduce that as our first step, one of our first steps, into our clinics as early as before the end of the month. And what that would allow us to do is to increase or improve the way that we are stewards of the government's funds. So funds that are being received, we can receipt them immediately, and they'll go directly into the consolidated fund. It also allows our clinics to be able to accept credit cards, because right now we can't.
The effort's also seeking to address the future of international portability of medical records through Open EMR, an open source electronic monitoring method.
As this process matures, we anticipate that we will have a system that communicates across the public and private sector. That has an additional component as well, because regionally there's, not even regional but globally, there's this discussion as well as portability of medical records across borders. So we're having discussions along those lines with the PAHO and with PAHO, just to make sure that as we have those discussions, we are part of those discussions, not that we're implementing it, but we want to make sure we understand what's going on, make sure that our concerns, as many as they are addressed in the process, so that in the event that we actually do determine that that is the path we're going to take, we are able to say, well, it meets all of the criteria that we would like for it to have.
Well, former U.S. President, the late Jimmy Carter, was remembered Thursday for his humility and decades of public service during a funeral at Washington National Cathedral. After the service, his casket was flown back to his hometown, Plains, Georgia, on Air Force One. Carter was laid to rest after a private ceremony at Maranatha Baptist Church, where he once taught Sunday school. All of Carter's living predecessors attending the service, with President Joe Biden delivering a eulogy. Carter, who passed away December 29th, was 100 years old. Closer to home, Governor General Dame Cynthia Pratt signed the book of condolences for President Carter at the U.S. Ambassador's residence in Nassau, alongside U.S. Charge d'Affaires Kimberly Furnish. Well, still to come on Our News Weekend, school is back in session, but it's the teachers that are taking lessons. Some 40 educators now taking swim lessons this semester. Plus, it's a hot cake party. The Bahamas Humane Society teams up with Bahama for furry meet and greets that have become a hit with visitors. We'll tell you all about it when Our News Weekend returns.
America's 47th President Donald J. Trump takes office on January 20th. With a decisive victory and clear mandate from the American people, what will his anticipated policy changes in immigration, taxation, climate change, foreign policy, and social reconstruction mean for the Bahamas and the region? Join On the Record with me, Jerome Sawyer, Thursday, January 23rd at 8 p.m. from the nation's capital for a special Mission to Washington.
Well, the big Pine Yard Rush in downtown Freeport is officially in the history books, the parade drawing thousands of spectators. And after all was said and done, residents and guests were left amazed at the elevated display of culture. Those results revealed last evening. In the B Division, Bushwhackers placed third, Sting taking home second place, and Showtime took home the unofficial win. In the A category, it was a fight to dethrone longtime champions Platinum Knights. As the unofficial results were read, the Platinum Knights were only able to secure the Best Free Dancer category. Meantime, the Swingers took home several first-place finishes, including Best Banner, Best Lead Costume, Best Performance in Showtime, and Best Execution of Theme. For Best Music, it was a tie between the Classic Dancers and the Swingers. And now, after the scores have been added up and the penalties applied, there can only be one winner.
In fifth place, with 67.17, New Generation. In fourth place, with 79.17, the Classic Dancers. In third place, with 81.33, the Platinum Knights. In second place, with 85.83, the Superstar Rockers. And the winner of the overall parade, the Swingers, with 90 points. There are your unofficial results.
Congratulations to all groups. Well, the Chinese embassy in the Bahamas ushered in the new year with a unique reception on Monday to introduce watermelons grown through a joint agriculture project between Chinese experts and Bahamian farmers. The event highlighted the fruits of a 2-year collaboration aimed at bolstering local food production. Speaking at the event, the Chinese ambassador to the Bahamas shared her inspiration for hosting the tasting. She praised the dedication and enthusiasm of Bahamian farmers and emphasized the potential for greater agricultural cooperation between the two nations.
I got this idea of hosting this watermelon tasting event when I visit Los Angeles, the breadbasket of Bahamas. Because there I really, it changed, the visit changed my whole perception on the agriculture production conditions of the Bahamas. And there I saw the hard workers, the hard-working farmers, and also, I feel strongly the enthusiasm of Bahamian people.
The farm, established through a nearly $1 million investment from China's Hunan province, symbolizes the growing friendship between the two countries. Also present at the event was Parliamentary Secretary Jamal Strawn, who underscored the importance of partnership in advancing agricultural technology in the country.
It's essential to understand that the reason we conduct these transfer of information and of expertise is to help in our national development. And this particular initiative, we see the transfer of not only technology, but we see the transfer of equipment like tractors, greenhouses, seeds, so that the Bahamas can achieve the goal of reducing its food imports by 25%. And that is what we want, and that is what we aspire to as we achieve our own food security.
Well, schools reopening their doors this week after the Christmas holiday break. And Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin says so far the first week has gone well, as some 40 teachers have started training in swimming. In recent months, construction projects have been underway to place pools at some of our schools. And now she says teachers are beginning to prepare.
Yesterday, teachers were trained in the swimming pools. This is the first time ever we have mass trained teachers to teach swimming, and pools are being built in several schools, and we are going to create in a broad-based manner in the curriculum all of our children to learn how to swim, which is a basic survival skill, but it's also an opportunity for economy to work as lifeguards, etc. But it's an empowerment skill.
We've seen other education programs like the National Breakfast Program extend to the Family Islands. Could we see the same for swimming education?
In the Family Islands, we're looking at bringing in Grand Bahama and Idisra in the first instance, and then the other islands based on where the facilities are or have to be provided. So it will be throughout the country.
Visitors staying at the Bahama Resort are getting an up-close and personal experience with Royal Bahamian pot cakes, thanks to the Bahamas Humane Society teaming up with the resort for pot cake parties. Adoption coordinator at the Bahamas Humane Society, Fiona Moody, says the parties have been quite the hit.
The first 2 days we did it over the Thanksgiving weekend, the Friday and the Saturday, we had queues way up the stairs and round the corner. People very patiently wait. We're shaded, covered. It's really lovely. And then the people sit on the ground or the chairs, and the puppies come and sit on their laps and have a cuddle. And it's a fundraiser also. And we get great donations, and we have managed to get a couple of puppies adopted to Canada.
Moody tells us the pot cake party has proved so successful that interested adoptive homes are willing to wait the months-long wait period before puppies can enter the U.S.
We have a program whereby if people are interested in our puppies for the United States, now with the new restrictions, puppies can't go there until 6 months. So we have puppies now in foster, and these people are really keen, and they're going to wait until the puppies reach 6 months of age, and then we'll send them up. In fact, I have one of the children in my office today. He was one of the first ones. I'm fostering him, and he will go up in about 3 weeks' time.
Still to come on Our News Weekend, it's a pity if you missed the Back to the 90s party on Thursday, but thankfully entertainment correspondent Danielle Miller was there to capture all of the highlights. We'll tell you all about it, but first,
some of our guys hit the court. We're going to talk about it next on our Sports Weekend.
America's 47th President Donald J. Trump takes office on January 20th. With a decisive victory and clear mandate from the American people, what will his anticipated policy changes in immigration, taxation, climate change, foreign policy, and social reconstruction mean for the Bahamas and the region? Join On the Record with me, Jerome Sawyer, Thursday, January 23rd at 8 p.m. from the nation's capital for a special Mission to Washington.
Good evening, I'm Tage Adderley back with our Sports Weekend. Bahamians hit the court last night. Here's what went down. Buddy Hield got the start last night in Golden State's 108-96 loss to his former team, the Indiana Pacers. He scored 17 points along with 4 rebounds and 5 assists. Eric Gordon hit a couple of threes. They were his only points of the game. His Philly squad lost to the New Orleans Pelicans 123-115. And down in the G, Kai Jones had 19 points and 7 rebounds, and he even hit a 3 as the San Diego Clippers took out the Texas Legends 105-89. Now, AJ Storr and the Jayhawks played earlier today. BJ Edgecombe and his Baylor Bears get ready to go in a couple of hours, and DeAndre Ayton and the Blazers will play tonight. We'll talk about all those games tomorrow. Last week, you heard about Prince Strawn's plans to hit the transfer portal right here. Since then, he's been busy with some big-time visits. Strawn spent the week visiting schools on the West Coast. He started with the LA schools, taking a trip to USC on Wednesday before visiting UCLA on Thursday. He continued his tour of former Pac-12 schools, visiting Arizona State yesterday. The LA schools are looking to rebuild quickly, with USC coming off a down year and UCLA performing even worse after the departure of their head coach last year. While Arizona State, on the other hand, was a surprise winner of the Big 12 Conference, and they went on to win a playoff game. All of these schools see the potential Strawn has with his size and speed, and he showed that he could play with the big boys, putting up a strong performance against Penn State in last week's CFP loss. He'll announce where he's headed real soon. That's a wrap for sports this evening. For our Sports Weekend, I'm Tage Adderley.
Thanks so much, Tage. When we return, it's time for your weekend weather check. Ian McKenzie joins us from the Weather Center with a look at temperatures. Stick with us.
America's 47th President Donald J. Trump takes office on January 20th. With a decisive victory and clear mandate from the American people, what will his anticipated policy changes in immigration, taxation, climate change, foreign policy, and social reconstruction mean for the Bahamas and the region? Join On the Record with me, Jerome Sawyer, Thursday, January 23rd at 8 p.m. from the nation's capital for a special Mission to Washington.
Welcome back. A little chilly weather on the outside earlier this afternoon. As to what you can expect for the remainder of the weekend, well, meteorologist Ian McKenzie fills us in. Ian.
Thanks, Megan, and good evening, Bahamas. Welcome to your Saturday evening forecast. A much warmer day across the country. Outside our studios, we're under partly cloudy skies right now with a temperature of 76. Feels like the same. Winds are from the east-northeast at 10 miles per hour. Temperatures across the country: Freeport with 70, 72 in Marshall, 74 in Allenstown as well as Nicholstown, 76 in the capital and in Governor's Harbor, 75 in Great Harbor Key. The Central Bahamas, we have 73 in Camps Bay as well as Coburn Town, San Salvador, 75 in Arthurstown, 74 in Georgetown, and 76 in Edmonds Key, Long Island. Southeast Bahamas, we have 76s in Duncantown, Delectable Bay, and in Matthewtown, Inagua, a trio of 75s in Colonel Hill, Abrahams Bay, and in Providenciales, Turks and Caicos. Satellite and radar imagery at this time. A little bit more active weather, and this is all associated with a frontal system that's pushing through our area. High pressures now move to the east. We have those southerly winds giving us that muggy feeling near summertime like temperatures, so this will all continue to pretty much be with us throughout the night. As this front pushes through into tomorrow, we should expect changing temperatures. Boating on the outside right now in the northwest Bahamas, we still have those swells. Small craft should use caution. Risk for rip currents for you swimmers. Winds west-southwest to west-northwest at 10 to 15 knots. Seas 2 to 4 near shore, but up to 7 feet offshore in those swells. Low tide at 11:45 p.m. tonight. High tide at 6:17 a.m. tomorrow morning. Central and southeast Bahamas, again, caution in those swells. Winds variable at 5 to 10 knots, seas 1 to 3, but up to 8 feet in those north to northeasterly swells. And in your extended forecast, we expect some cooling tomorrow after that front pushes through. Pretty much not too much change in temperature, so it'll be more on the normal January side, and then expect a dip in temperature Thursday as a stronger cold front pushes through. We expect those temperatures to remain in the mid-70s with your low temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. That's a wrap in the evening forecast. Make it a great, safe, fun night, everyone.
This past Thursday, thousands of music lovers brought in the holiday in a time warp back to the 90s. The best decade, if you ask me. If you missed it, our Danielle Miller took it all in and has this exciting recap.
we're giving you a real throwback with Playhouse's Back to the 90s party. If you missed it, it's a pity. Fusion Superplex was packed to capacity with party goers all waiting to see the special guest, Tanya Stevens.
2,000 plus guests dressed in their 90s best, muggled to endless hits from the era, played by DJs Tico T, DJ Tank, and the Playhouse DJs. This was definitely a grown folk scene that made you reminisce of the days of dial-up internet service and LimeWire. However, there were a few in attendance who may have not experienced the struggle of blowing into a cassette tape, like international disc jockey Overdose. He says he has a great love for all music and incredible respect for those in the industry that came before him. He says this was an event he did not want to miss.
I was born in 2000s, for anybody that does not know. But yeah, man, all the DJs that's here and that's on the show, I grew up listening to a lot of them. So a lot of them, you know, built a lot of us as younger DJs up on the 90s music and the 2000s music. But I'm out here to learn. I'm out here to witness creativity from the mature DJs, not the old DJs, the mature DJs and the seasoned DJs.
At the stroke of midnight, the party climaxed with a performance by dance hall icon Tanya Stevens. Her entrance to the stage ignited a burst of energy. Her melodies of classic hits took us all on a rhythmic joyride.
Now, when we did the Zoom interview, I said I wasn't old enough the first time you came to the Bahamas.
Definitely wasn't.
Now I'm old enough and I had a good time. How did it feel performing out there for the people?
It was fun, it really was, and it never is enough time to get into all of the songs, but we tried to cover as many of them as we possibly could.
Now, you did something that was very unusual that I've seen in a concert, and that was you asked the crowd what songs you want to hear. Why was that so important to you?
Oh gee, when I go to a concert and I don't hear my song, I'm very annoyed. I get mad at the artist and I cuss, so I don't want to be that guy.
Before departing, Stevens showing as many fans as she could some love, engaging in conversations and taking photos, ending the night with nothing but good vibes. Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
Thanks so much, Danielle. Well, as the world prepares for the upcoming inauguration of America's 47th president, the Our News digital team is releasing a special series, Digital Pages. Our Danielle Miller holds candid conversations with several national leaders and freedom fighters right here at home, uncovering untold stories of our country's history from their perspective. The series, Digital Pages, premieres this Tuesday, January 14th on the Our News Bahamas YouTube platform. Follow Our News Bahamas on social media for more on the series. And thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Have a safe and wonderful evening. Hey guys, Megan Shepard here. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Just click right over here. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so you stay up to date with content like this from the team you already trust.